Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of New Reviews. Come on, step it up. The show where we talk about things that happen in the gaming industry that kind of pretty much overall disappoint us. And today's a special episode because today is our coverage of the announcement of the next Microsoft console, the Xbox One. Now,
Or like the Xbox done.
Shut up, Ted. Now, if you do not know, the Xbox One was announced earlier today in a live press conference, and it was disappointing is putting it easy. Let's just get some general thoughts at first. Anybody have some thoughts they'd like to share?
I've never been so unimpressed in my life, and I've seen my own penis.
We all see that.
As a man who has also seen his own penis, I agree.
Yeah, it was rather lackluster. To put it
Just
in
like your penis.
simple terms.
There was lackluster is kind of a disappointing thing. It was kind of just like, here is our new Xbox. Look, it looks kind of similar to the current Xbox. Well, the UI does, at least. The actual system looks like a VCR from the 1930s.
You mean a Betamax?
Whatever. Look at all the things you can do with the Kinect. It's kind of like what you can already do, but there's more. Well, and then the video games.
Yeah, that was my main problem. Just, Call of Duty Ghosts and realistic dogs and oh shit, there's a tattoo on his ear.
Now, if they had made instead of Call of Duty game like a Dogfort game, where you got to play as dogs in Dogfort and you got to go against cats, I'd buy that game. I'd buy an Xbox One for that game. Because everyone loves Dogfort.
PlayStation game, the one with the animals and
The fucking Tokyo Jungle. It's the fucking
Yeah!
greatest game. If you've never played it, go buy it because it's the fucking greatest game in the world. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Xbox One.
Very subtle there.
What else is there really to talk about?
Well, we could slowly break it down, so that way we could go point by point of why we hated the press conference so much. So,
Alright.
First off, let's see. They kind of had this thing with the developers where they're like, oh yeah, the console's pretty cool. So,
like every other console does. So, I mean,
basically.
yeah, more or less. And then next, for about, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes, he just talked about how you'll be able to use your Xbox One as like a set-top box, kind of like a cable box.
it would have been cool if it was, not pre-recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was that. But when I heard about that, I just thought, oh great, more shit to plug in.
Well, that's supposed to be like, less shit to plug in. So like, oh, okay, I don't have to use
Well,
remote.
don't you have to plug it into your cable box, or they're saying you can replace your cable box entirely?
I think you have to plug your cable box into the Kinect Xbox One.
Well, there you go, more shit to plug
HD.
in. Like, I've never touched my cable box ever since it came in.
It's stupid, really. Like,
It's
they said-
alright.
I think he said it was hard to change the sources on your TV or the inputs on your TV. It's like, it's not that. It's a fucking button.
Fucking button!
There's
Well,
a dedicated source
But I'm
button.
holding up my remote and I'm pointing to a fucking button. It says input. It's not that fucking hard.
Well, to be fair, the only reason why I would ever use that feature is to look at one thing and to surf the internet at the same time.
But that's what they've got that, like, fucking, they got that snapshot doohickey thingy, but that's also what a laptop's for.
Or a phone, even.
Or a phone! Phones nowadays surf the internet, like, as fast as any other laptop in the world, and probably as fast as fucking the Xbox None.
But the question is, can I play video games and watch TV at the same time?
Well,
I
Xbox
thought-
One certainly can't.
Yeah, didn't they say, like, you actually have to switch out every now and then? That's why they were doing, like, switch game, switch move, I don't know.
Like, I don't know if you can do, like, that snap feature or whatever with
a game?
video game running and then the TV on the other end. That's just stupid. Who would do that?
I don't know. Let's
Also,
play
like,
something
how-
poker.
It like then you'd be playing video games with TV noise, or you'd be watching TV, but it would be the audio from the video game. I mean, it's just silly. And sure, the system obviously runs a lot faster than the current Xbox, which I mean, I guess it's nice to have a responsive system, but really, if you're running all this shit if you're running a game and then having a Skype call while also on Internet Explorer,
oh god,
and
Internet Explorer,
that's gonna slow down the fucking system. I don't care how instant they want to make it. If you have all that shit running, you can't fucking the console's gonna overheat as worse than the 360 overheats. And this motherfucker is like fueling the heat for my entire house right now.
Yeah, it gets pretty fucking humid when like you have an Xbox running. That's why I had to reinstall my AC, or else I won't be able to play like video games in my TV room at all.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, it gets fucking hot in here.
I don't know. I think we all agree that it's really disappointing that they're pushing for, entertainment than it is what it's supposed to do, which is video games.
I don't think they actually called it like a video game console. I think they called it kind of like an entertainment hub or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Like an entertainment center.
Xbox 360, right? They called it an entertainment system.
Yeah, an entertainment center or whatever.
It's
which is fine, really. I mean, but the thing is like, John from next door who works 9 to 5 and has 8 kids isn't gonna go buy this for himself.
Like, like, let's be honest here. Microsoft doesn't care about video games. Let's be honest. They want to make a thing that connects all of your like entertainment needs, but they threw video games into it because it'll help it sell. Because all the kids will be like, I want a new Xbox, but really they want to make this entertainment hub. They're only putting video games in there to help it sell. That's why video games took up maybe like 15 minutes of that conversation, if that.
Yeah, more or less actually.
Like, the entire presentation was about, look how fast the console is, look at all these Kinect hand motions you can do, and look at all these non-video games. They even had their biggest selling franchise on there. Halo. Guess what? TV series.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, that was extremely off-putting for me. Like, when that came on, I was just laughing, like, oh my god, this is supposed to be a press conference for your new console, and you're showing off a new TV show. Video games. Ugh.
TV. It makes sense.
It's ridiculous, really. It kind of like this is why I think that Microsoft no longer is a contender or quote unquote contender among the big three, because it's quite obvious they don't want to make video games. They're making a video game enabling console whatever for the sales. That like Sony's conference for the PS4, that was all about video games. It was all about, look at what the system can do for you, the gamer. Look at all the shit it gives you. You can stream shit and post pictures while you're playing fucking video games. Look how fucking fantastic it is. Microsoft was just like, we got ESPN, and then you can use your phone to look at your fantasy sports team while watching TV.
This is the way to watch NFL games or whatever.
Well, to be fair, if you recall from the past E3 events, they've always been the same way about the conferences. They always nitpick on something so insignificant that's not about the games. Why would you expect this to be any different?
Hope.
I don't know.
Well, still, anyways, it's a terrible first impression, though. Because Xbox primarily is a system about games. And they started off by showing about TV and media. I'm just saying.
Unfortunately, that is true, but if you recall, they are trying to pinpoint the differences between the current interface with the 360 and the new one with the One. Granted, it's not that significant, and probably no one's really going to use it, but that's the point of them doing it.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Show off what the differences between the Xbox Done and the Xbox 3 kit shitty, and show what it can do, all that fun stuff. But put more than fucking 10 minutes worth of video game shit in your conference about the unveiling of a new video game console. Like, have like a 30-minute reel, like featurette reel of shit we can expect to see at E3. I'm fine with it. That's fucking great. It's perfect. It shows that you actually have shit planned instead of just we've got sports games and Call of Duty with a dog.
They don't even own fucking Call of Duty.
I think
like
the problem.
you go ahead first.
I think the problem is the fact they brought EA to the conference was the biggest mistake they've done. Of everything they talked about, I think bringing EA was the worst thing ever.
True, because nowadays you can't take anything EA says with a grain of half a milligram of salt.
Oh, absolutely. Even though they just talk about like the sports games, just still, I don't know. After the whole like SimCity debacle, I'm pretty sure no one wants to really, put like a spotlight on EA.
SimCity being voted worst company in America, backpedaling the fuck out of their support or lack thereof of the Wii U. Lately, EA has just been all over the place. If you took anything they say or do with any like sense of reality, you've made some poor life choices.
And out of the games they showed what, 6 games? Only one of the games were exclusive. They showed 4 EA Sports games. They showed Call of Duty, and then there was that one thing. What? Quantum Break.
Was that the exclusive one?
Quantum Break was the one with like ship hitting the bridge.
Right.
I didn't catch that one. I think another problem I have with it is that of the games they did show off, of the games they did talk about, it's such a very small audience of the gaming community. It's sports and Call of Duty fags.
Well, technically, it's not a small community because they are the biggest.
It's not a small community, but it's still just like in comparison to the other genres and support for everything else. It's still like really kind of close-minded. It's like here's like the things that prepubescent teens and like my dad are gonna like. What about me? I don't like that shit. Yeah, what about anyone else I know that doesn't like any sport game? What? They've got Call of Duty to look forward to? They've got a ship running into a bridge to look forward to? The PS4 conference had games all across the spectrum. It's like, I don't like that game, but that game looks pretty fucking cool. I did that. That's another thing I feel that they really like dropped the ball on. Is that not only did they barely talk about games, they talked about such like a narrow subset of the entire gaming community.
They did mention that there's going to be 15 exclusive games that are going to be there at launch. Maybe
those could be 15 shitty games like every other.
Those could be 15 Kinect games, all developed by Rare.
What was Rare, but I don't know, that's probably going to be saved for EA. But still, they could have thrown in like 1 or 2 more exclusives rather than EA and Call of Duty.
Like I was expecting like a Gears of War thing again or something. I don't know, Microsoft company.
They also showed off Forza as well. I forgot about that. That's 7 games.
Well, to be fair, Forza has always been exclusive to Microsoft.
Yeah. I don't know. I know Forza is popular, so there's that. But aside from that, the problems with the Xbox One don't even end right there. There's still like a few news stories that popped up afterward that are extremely upsetting. Like, first off, like the Kinect always has to be connected. Like you can't.
But I thought it has to be always on. Is what I thought it was going to be.
I'm pretty sure. Like, no, you can't really like use it without the Kinect.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What was the...
We'll post a link for that in the description. Next off, we'll go with this one.
Downloadable
use games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's go with backwards compatibility first.
Well, yeah. The current generation scrapped that, or the next generation,
yeah,
or whatever generation pretty much scrapped that altogether. So
yeah, well, yeah, but they did it poorly. So like, you won't be able to play 360 games, and any like Xbox Live Arcade games will not carry over until Xbox One.
Wasn't it rumored that it's basically going to be the return of the the Xbox, what's it called? HD hard drive thingy? Like they're going to have a 360 add-on to the Xbox One?
I don't know about that, but I believe it was said that the 500 gigabyte hard drive that comes with the Xbox One, it cannot be replaced, but the USB, but they do have it so you can use external drives for more space. I don't know anything else beyond that.
So wait, so basically if your hard drive just gets fragged, you're fucked.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And also, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that you're forced to install every game as well.
Yeah, that goes on to the used game thing, which we'll talk about in a second. But for the backwards compatibility, I gotta agree with Ted. No current. I mean, the Wii U can play Wii games, but I mean,
the PS4 is able to stream PS1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, but it doesn't have actual backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it's basically an emulation.
Well, still, the ability to play backwards games, I still feel that is essential because, despite what some people might think, Xbox does have a few good titles, and it's just depressing to me that I have a shit ton of Rock Band DLC. I have over 300 or plus downloaded songs, and I can't throw my Xbox away now or sell it or something. I have to keep that in order to play with it.
Yeah, I think that's the really major issue with a lot of people with Xbox Live accounts is that they can't have their previous downloaded games and DLC purchases move on to the next system.
And also with the arcade games as well, like Trials HD or what else is there? There's a shit ton of arcade games, and you can't bring that over as well.
Yeah, but that's kind of a risk that you make when you buy these downloadable games. I do admit it's really sucky that you can't carry this stuff over. I mean, you have so much fucking DLC for Rock Band,
I know.
and so now you have to keep your Xbox 360 to play that, which isn't so much of a problem. But for some people, not me, because I do something with my life and have a job. They have to sell their previous systems to get anything new. Or they have to kind of rely on that selling point, so they'd have to sell their entire collection of everything to get a new system, and there's no telling anyone would buy that because, hey, the new system's out. So it is really sucky that your old shit doesn't carry over, or at least there's no form of being hey, here is your stuff. You don't really have it, but you can play it kind of like the PS4 proposes with its streaming.
On a follow-up note, because when I read that, they first said you don't get to have your DLCs and whatever and your gamer score, but there was a follow-up article saying your gamer score will be fine. Wow, is that really a great consolation?
There's also what was it? They said that this is in relation to the gamer score, not so much backwards compatibility. They said that they revamped sort of the way the achievements work, so it's more fluid to be able to add or change up achievements, and they can add or change depending on how players play the games. So that kind of brings in this notion of there's really no 100%ing a game as long as developers keep thinking of achievements to just randomly throw in. And that's not really a problem, but for people who are 100% completionists, like OCD like that, it kind of flips their fucking minds.
I bet.
What do you guys think about that?
Well, achievements has always been a way for developers to kind of artificially extend the game. For me particularly, I don't really care. I've never been much of an achievement whore, but whatever. I don't care. Gamer score, whatever. The bigger issue for me personally is backwards compatibility, and not even just the DLC, just all the games. Everything I downloaded from my Xbox is worth more than the Xbox One. So, what to do?
Xbox One.
I'm not gonna call it that.
So, since this was
Wait,
brought
hold on,
up,
Samir. What do you think
The new Xbox.
about the backwards compatibility?
remember correctly, you're saying it's not going to work with the older games?
Not going to work
Yes.
with Xbox, original Xbox and 360, and your Xbox Live Arcade games don't carry over.
Well, then again, I'm not the one who chucks away my old console, so I really don't care. But I mean, it kind of sucks that I have to like plug in my Xbox just to play anything I want. Mostly Mass Effect, and knowing Microsoft are going to probably end support for Live for the 360 after one point, when it becomes more mainstream, killing most of the games they have online currently.
Basically.
But one thing I am looking forward to is the bigger online play, which they said they're going to have. It's going to be bigger than what currently 16 players, 12 players.
I think they were like bumping up to like 32 or I don't know.
I mean,
We have
32 would be
15,000
nice. 32 would be nice in some games.
I don't know. I mean, Mag had like 256.
Yeah, but wasn't
Yeah, but that
wasn't
was
Mag's
like,
only?
That was cut down to 32 player sections, and even that was cut down to like you maybe saw like 16 enemy combatants at once because of how big the maps were.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
when you start cutting down stuff like that, that becomes an issue. But I'm pretty sure Mag was the only game that was supposed to be that massive
There
online.
was something else that was like 64. I think it was like Frontlines or something. And that was for the 360 and PS3 and also for PC as well.
Hmm.
That was 64 people. But it didn't really sell well because it was an extremely generic shooter.
Here's a thought. So with the PS4 and the Xbox, they're upgrading the operating system to a 32-bit system. Do you think that this may start to allow inter-online play between systems and or systems and PC?
Actually, the way, funny enough, EA's had done that before with Burnout, last Burnout game. Where, sorry, the last Need for Speed game, Need for Speed Burnout, whatever the hell it was called. The online score would actually carry between all three consoles, the Xbox, PlayStation, and the PC. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to cross over between, Xbox and PC at least.
well,
I mean,
that's
the
more
only-
of an
the-
account thing, though.
The only issue would be like controlling PC, more of a punk buster feature on the PC side.
Well, some games did that before, like Shadowrun. You're able to play between 360 and PC, but people didn't like it because, and this is like I'm kind of like paraphrasing here, but they said that it was a bad idea because the console players cannot compete with PC players. Take that for what you will. Didn't Portal 2 for the PS3 allow you're able to play with the PC version as well? Someone has a PC version, you can play along with the PS3 player.
I don't know.
You could play with a Steam friend.
Yeah,
I think-
that's what it was. So
Yeah,
some
that was
consoles
that.
may be able to do that, but cross-platform play, like between PS4 and Xbox One, I don't see that happening.
Honestly,
No, both companies are too greedy to be able to actually share their fan base, because then there wouldn't be a point to choosing one console over the other.
Unless if the developers
I'm
their
pretty sure it's
servers
all-
kind of they do it on their end, maybe, but I don't think.
I mean, that's what it seems like it would. That's what it seems like they would do. They would do it on the developer side. It's all on developers to do this online play together.
But wait, I thought the current systems weren't 32-bit. I think they were 16, weren't they?
Pretty sure it's oh wait, I don't know. I'm not
But,
gonna comment.
Anyway, one thing I gotta bring up: the fucking controller, man.
Well,
I tell you, it's like I don't know,
There we go.
personally, the Xbox 360 controller, in my opinion, was possibly one of the best controllers out there when it comes to new ergonomic design. I mean, PS3 has been the same since PS1.
Why is the
DualShock
Xbox
controller-
button so high up?
So you don't
Exactly.
accidentally press it when you press start. I will admit that has happened to me a few times before. I'm pretty sure Samir could say the same thing too, right?
Yeah, especially like during our heated game sessions.
All right, yeah, I think
It does happen.
It's
So
still kind of uncomfortable.
It still
yeah, but
looks
if you look at the controller, it's rather close. There's like
It's very
not
similar.
even like half a centimeter apart. So like sometimes you press quick, like oh shit, guide button.
Yeah.
I don't know, but apparently the controller is supposed to know your position where you're sitting, from my understanding.
Oh, actually, that's kind of working along with the Kinect. It uses Kinect to figure it out.
Should be interesting.
Isn't there like a biometric sensor or something on it? I don't know.
A gyrometer, or
Yeah.
accelerometer? I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure it'll be using like the Kinect. Because like Kinect now could even like detect like wrist movements, and it can even look at your heartbeat, which I find kind of creepy. But yeah,
Nintendo thought of it first. They never released it.
yeah, vitality sensor.
So, let's move on to a bigger point. With that Ted brought up, I believe, a little bit earlier, and I said we'd get back on the need to install games, and this also ties in with the supposed prevention of used titles, of used games. It's been reported that games will need to be installed onto the 500 gigabyte hard drive upon, first buying the game or whatever. But since then, there have been many like contradicting reports as to whether or not this somehow prevents used game sales. I think might have been like the vice president or something like that. I'm not quite sure who exactly it was, but he said that you would install the game, and then if you gave that game disc to a friend or you traded into like GameStop or whatever, when whoever gets that copy puts their disc into their system, it'll be like, all right, you can install this, but you have to pay a fee. And
Yeah, that's what I heard.
it has been rumored to be anywhere between like $20 and the full retail price of the game. Now, since then, I believe Microsoft has come back to say that is only, quote, unquote, one of many scenarios that might happen. So, they might be backpedaling on not officially announcing that. Maybe it was like a slip of the tongue that's actually going to happen, and they see, oh dear God, that's a really bad idea. That's a really bad idea. Look how much everyone's laughing at us. Oh dear God, let's quick fix it.
I'm
Honestly-
pretty sure that's something that Xbox and Microsoft should have been aware from like the beginning. They know how much like people really hate DRM and things like that. This is something they knew that they were going to get in deep shit for this. I'm pretty sure they're not going to change their policy. It's like, oh, cat's out of the bag, deal with it.
So basically, they're trying to bring back online passes or some version of it when EA just scrapped it.
More or less, yeah. It's like the
Yeah.
online pass except without the code. It's already built in, so each like disc is unique, and you need to play on a certain console, or else you get fined, whatever.
I don't know. I just think it's stupid that somebody wants to buy a used game for a fraction of the price, and they still have to basically pay the same price.
This wasn't confirmed, was it?
No, it wasn't. But
if it seems like it
sounds
was
likely.
if it sounds like it was hinted off and they're getting such negative press from it, it could be done on purpose, seeing how the public would react to certain features. Which would make sense if they're planning to remove the feature or keep the feature.
I don't know.
But if anything, it seems interesting that GameStop stock took a hit because of this.
All right. I found an update. We'll talk about that. I found an update pertaining to this. According to Joystick, since at like 8 o'clock, some dude named Major Nelson wrote on the blog.
That's the head PR guy from
Alright,
Microsoft.
he says, while there have been many potential scenarios discussed, today we have only confirmed that we designed Xbox One to enable our customers to trade in and resell games at retail. Beyond that, we have not confirmed any specific scenarios. Fees, however, appear to be part of the plan, with Major Nelson noting that players will not have to pay a fee to play a game at their friend's house so long as they are connected to the Xbox profile associated with that game. Presumably that means games are locked to accounts initially, so they're at least thankfully doing it better than Nintendo's doing it, but that still leaves the issue of, what if I just want to lend my friend the game? I don't want to go over there and watch him play it or give him my account. Or what if...
How's Nintendo doing it?
Nintendo locks all digital purchases to the system itself, not to your...
That's a digital purchase.
Yeah, physical copies are fine, but all digital purchases are linked to your system and not your account. So if you lose your system, or if your system gets damaged, you lose all your digital purchases.
Okay.
Rebuy them.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, but let's not go too on with
No,
Nintendo,
we're not
though.
going to that.
Yeah.
So it seems that they do link these installs and these used game prevention whatevers to your specific account. But they also haven't exactly said that there aren't fees for if you don't use the associated accounts. What do you think about that?
I don't know. They're just complicating shit. Just let people borrow each other's games.
Well, regarding borrowing, I don't care so much, but the used game market, it's definitely going to get hit hard. So stuff like eBay or even GameStop, they will suffer because of this. Like GameStop, I don't care, but eBay, that's how I get a bunch of cheap games. So.
Yeah, depending on the fee that it is, either GameStop will either not stock used Xbox One games at all, or they'll have to sell them at a much lower price. Because if it's as bad as it's rumored to be, and the fee is the full price of the game, then no one's gonna pay about twice the amount of retail price for a game to play it. So,
unless there's a really sneaky move and extremely greedy, but GameStop and Microsoft make a deal so that GameStop becomes the only vendors of used games.
Yeah.
Or
and then they just provide you a code to unlock it or something like that.
Yeah.
Or how about this? They lower prices of games.
Funny. It'd be nice if they lowered prices of games, but they're not going to lower the prices of games. Games have always been expensive.
If they were to drop the price by $20, I wouldn't care if I couldn't use used games or not.
It'd be nice, but again, it's not going to happen. Games have always been expensive. Games have been expensive since the fucking...
Well, no. Initially it's been expensive because the cartridges were expensive to use, to sell. But era of CDs and Blu-rays, it's cheap to print on those.
But they still sell it for the standard price.
It's the addition of the license.
Print on them, sure, but
which is what you're actually purchasing.
There's also a lot, technology has developed so much further than it used to be, and licensing fees for engines and all that kind of shit is expensive. So it's a lot more, while it may not be as expensive to print off these things, which we can see by usually digital releases of games are a little bit cheaper than their retail prices, it's still much more expensive to develop these games. And they have to make that money back through the sales, so they have to be the prices we see today. If it was cheaper to make these great video games, then fucking there's no reason for the prices to be cheaper. But it's not. What were we? Oh yeah, so Ted was talking about the stock prices. It is interesting to note that the Microsoft shares did go down after did close on a low note after the conference and all, but it was only down by, if I remember, 0.63%, whatever that means in stock jargon. So
each point is a cent.
Yeah. Well,
whatever, it's a cent.
Yeah, it didn't drop too far, but...
Yeah, so it was a regular drop that you might see every day on the market. Now, for some reason, Sony's stock jumped up $2, which is not something you see. on a daily
It
basis.
was a coincidence, apparently, according to like stock people, that it had nothing to do with the Xbox reveal. But coincidentally, yeah, their stock went up, which is funny in itself.
Yeah, it went up like 7 points or something.
Yeah, which is kind of
Well,
rare.
It closed. It closed by $2 almost. $2 more than yesterday, or when it opened, I should say.
Which is
Yeah.
a skyrocket.
And that happened almost immediately after the conference was over, which was pretty funny.
I know.
Actually, interesting enough, from looking from like Friday to Monday, it looks like the stock did jump off a bit, and I want to see why it wouldn't increase today.
Oh, so it could be just a coincidence?
Could be just a coincidence.
Yeah, that's what
Oh.
those kind of people are saying. It's just a coincidence, but I just
Yeah, the way it
funny
looks,
that
it's just
happened.
I don't know. For war reason, the stock jumped up this week, so I haven't been keeping up with stock.
If I remember correctly, it was rumored to be something about how Sony is splitting off their entertainment stuff. So, like the Sony Pictures and Sony Music things, they're kind of like making that its own kind of thing, and that's rumored to be the cause of the stock rise. But I don't know. But we've debunked that mystery.
NUReviews, stock exchange analyst. All right.
So let's move on to the next big topic. I don't think we've covered this. The not quite always on aspect of Xbox One. The system is reported not to be always on, but it does need an internet connection even to play offline single-player games. I just saw an article about it. I didn't quite read into it. I probably should have done that.
I
I got a link.
I read a different article saying that they were backpedaling back on that, saying that they want people.
But Xbox does not have to be always connected, but Xbox One does require a connection to the internet. Developers are able to use Microsoft's Azure cloud computing service. This could potentially shift certain computation to the cloud.
Potentially.
Potentially.
So it depends on like how developers do it. Like if they like record like time trials or something like that. Like if like developers just kind of do it without being aware of like it always be online, it could potentially not let you play offline.
EA.
You think they would do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
do it,
because
They would do it, but it would run through Origin first.
Yeah.
I mean, why would they do that? If EA does that, like, they wouldn't be getting anything out of it if they're connected on the internet, unless if they like someone has some like really messed up thinking, like, oh, if they're online, maybe there's a chance of we like selling DLC or something. Oh my God, that's I don't like.
Hey, want to buy Michael Jordan's other jersey?
So if we can decipher Steve's main brain malfunction, it seems that it looks like it's not an always on, but it needs an internet connection in case the developers decide to use the cloud and to better make their games process better. In which case it technically is always on.
Isn't that just technically an update, though? I mean, does it really have to be a live feed?
I don't know. Like, that's a very good question. I don't know how the cloud works. I don't know how developers work. And I'm not going to pretend to know how Xbox None works.
I think they
how the cloud works?
Would be able to like record like I don't know game sessions like kind of like it records your gameplay through the cloud. So I think that's kind of how it works instead of like saving it to your hard drive or whatever.
I mean, if that's the only feature as to why it has to be connected online, I don't see it being that bad unless the game can't save to a hard drive.
Oh yeah,
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, but
annoying.
With the option to use the cloud as an online sort of like way to make processing better, it does leave the opening for developers like EA, for stuff, to abuse this. To be like, oh, you're not connected to the cloud? Oh, you don't get to play the game. too bad. We used the cloud. The potential's there. I'm not saying they're gonna do it. I'm not gonna say any developer's gonna do it, but the potential to kind of block access to the game depending on access to the cloud is kind of it's a little worrisome.
Well, for in some cases it kind of makes sense. Like you can't play online multiplayer without the cloud,
Well, fucking of course.
of course. But in the case of like single player, that's kind of a very depressing thought. That like, oh, you can't even play single player offline. It's almost kind of like how like there's like some of the PC stuff. Like, oh, you have to be connected or play like I don't know, like what Ubisoft did with like their games. Like you have to be connected to the internet in order to play like what Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. You can't play those games offline. But then they finally got rid of that DRM. But this, yuck. I feel sick by talking about this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Please stop.
Alright, so, I think we've covered a number of the major points about the Xbox One. Talked about their used games. There is kind of like a neat little thing where apparently when while you're installing the games to the hard drive, you can be playing the game while it's installing. Kind of neat, as opposed to the PlayStation 3's mandatory install where you just kind of sit there for 30 minutes to an hour, or 4, depending if you're playing Metal Gear Solid or not.
Yeah, but the PS4 could do that too, and also if you're downloading something, let's say like off the Wii U, you could also do that as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not anything. Since the end of the conference, a number of games have been announced to be coming to the Xbox One, but they're all kind of really obvious. Assassin's Creed 4, Battlefield, fucking, what was it called? Destiny, like all the Watch Dogs, all those like big, hey, this is a game that's coming to next-gen consoles. Guess what? It's also coming to Xbox One. No fucking really. I think the most surprising one I saw was Thief, but I don't really follow Thief, so good for Thief players who want an Xbox One. I don't fucking know.
I think that's a good question to end off on.
Oh, this one thing I do want to comment on.
All right.
So I just had a short discussion with my brother, and he brought up the fact that since the new Xbox is using Blu-rays, Sony is taking a cut from that one.
That is a good point. It is Blu-rays, and the reason why the 360 didn't have Blu-rays is because Sony had a very they owned Blu-rays pretty much.
Wait, do they own Blu-rays?
They had the exclusive commitment to that. What's the deal with that? Did they lose the exclusivity? Did
I'm pretty sure it's a contract deal or something, because it's been 7 years since they signed on, so it probably expired.
It's very possible. Very possible.
So once that expires, anyone else can jump on the patent or whatever it is. I don't know. But that's probably the case.
Yeah, it's probably something to do with the license and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, we hit that point.
But I think the final question we should end off on is, would you consider getting an Xbox One? If so, why? If not, why? And what would Microsoft need to do in order to have you convinced to get one? Let's start off with Brad.
No. At this current point, I have absolutely no interest in getting an Xbox One. The presentation had no impact on me. Well, it had impact on me, but nothing positive or healthy for my bowels. So I have no interest in getting an Xbox One. E3, maybe if they show us that they actually have good shit planned for it, which I'm not hopeful for. As many people on a very certain internet chat image board has said, so Nintendo domination. That's what it was. So Nintendo domination. Fucking PS4, Wii U, and handhelds. That's all I need.
And PC.
I guess, yeah, sure, why not?
Alright. Samir, how about you?
I'm gonna wait to E3 when more details of this actually get released and not rumored to what's going to be going on with the console.
Alright, but do you have more positive or negative feelings towards the Xbox? Don't you dare go neutral.
I'm gonna go on a little more of a positive side, just because.
Really?
Just because, I mean, I wish they spoke more about the system as opposed to the nonsense that's going with the system. I mean, if it's supposed to be, like, better in terms of how it performs, we should see games running a lot better. And, a little better transitions instead of having to wait forever for a loading screen.
But then in that case, why would you get an Xbox One over a PS4?
Well, currently, I don't know what's going on with the PS4. And mostly, too, the fact that a lot of the franchises currently on the Xbox I do like playing. And the fact that I'm paying for live just for a good internet service, whereas Sony's, gets shut down on periods of time.
Right on.
So.
Alright, Ted, how about you?
No. Just
Sure.
no.
Short,
And
simple, sweet. That's how we like Ted.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not really a case of fanboyism, but like I really do not care for Microsoft and its products. Besides, their PC OSs and whatever. But yeah, I could really care less. The whole smart glass Connect bullshit doesn't really matter to me. As far as gaming go, I bet the games that they're gonna come out with eventually are gonna be awesome, but I could really care less. I don't really care for Microsoft exclusives in general. So yeah, I'm not getting it even if I had the money. I'll take it as a gift, sure, but other than that, no.
All right, Steve, you want to give us your final thoughts before we pass it on to any viewers?
Well, I'll just be more or less regurgitating what you and Ted said, more or less. Like, there are really no more, like, Xbox exclusives for, like, me to, like, even, like, consider. Like, one major factor for me was, I can't believe I'm going back to this again, but there was the Rock Band thing. But since Rock Band is now dead for a while, they'll be back in a few years, there's no point of me getting a new Xbox just so I could carry over my DLC. That's completely lost on me now, so I have to keep it. There's no point of me getting Xbox One if, like, my DLC won't even carry over, so I have to keep on with this. That means any new stuff I'd have to work from scratch again or get, like, new features, whatever. But in games, like, there's really nothing that would hold my interest. Like, I don't mind skipping over Gears of War. I've done that with Judgment. I could miss out on Halo. I mean, hell, I'm pretty sure. What's the new game? Destiny or something like that.
Yeah,
It's gonna provide like a similar experience. So, and that's gonna be on the PS4. So okay, that's good with me. Never cared for Forza. Viva Pinata. I don't really care. Fable. Bleh. The only way I think Microsoft might be able to salvage the Xbox One is that if they decide to give Rare their spark back, let them be like, okay, you can now make Banjo 3, you can now make Killer Instinct, you can make a good, perfect Dark game. I'm pretty sure that would be there.
Was that really Microsoft's fault, though?
It's Rare.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if it's Rare,
But Microsoft owns Rare for now. Nintendo
Yeah.
don't let me down on that.
And now Rare's more or less reduced to making, Kinect games. So, if Microsoft decides, okay, we need you to work on those IPs again, I'm pretty sure that could convince a good amount of people to, consider the Xbox One. But for me, I'm looking possibly towards PS4. And if there's nothing that holds my interest with that, I could delay that a year and work on building a gaming PC. So, yeah.
Alright, well, thank you, viewers, for sitting through this very, very long episode. Maybe there might be some editing. I don't know. I don't do that shit. I just make my voice do things and talk to things. Let us know. We're going to open that last question up to you. What do you think about the Xbox One? Do you plan on getting it? Why or why not? We're going to open that up to you. Let us know in the comments on our YouTube page, on our website, on our Facebook page, whatever. The links to those other two pages will be somewhere either on the screen or in the description box. Again, not my job. Stay tuned. Follow our site for more updates on new reviews. We don't know when we're going to do another Come On Step It Up. It really depends on what happens on the news, but we do know we have an episode planned for whenever our favorite woman equalist fighter Anita Sarkeesian releases her next video. So if you're
More graphical effects.
So if you're titillated and just waiting for that, be sure to follow our site or our Facebook page, and you'll know as soon as it's up.
Trigger warning, there's going to be a new episode on that.
I am Brad, and we've got Steve, Ted, Samir, all from the New Reviews cast. Thank you for joining us this morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time, whatever day it is that you're watching us. Have a good one.
Booyah Master Race!